I am a romantic to the retrospect that is, tape trading days and little Phil, right?
Uh-huh.
All the way to just whatever, right?
Yeah, man.
Because that whatever has really, you know, uh, snowballed into like I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable, but legendary status. I mean, the
Oh, man.
people that your namesake is standing right next to are the people that you kind of followed when you were little Phil.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course, and that's so beautiful and great and if I may say, well deserved on
Thank you,
in a
man.
lot of levels. But at the same time, that when you say well deserved, the word deserving is kind of smarmy,
Yeah. When you
But
say it about yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, right. But you know
Like
what I mean.
me and Marta have this thing about, you don't get to call yourself a badass. You know,
No, you
other
don't.
other people call you a badass, but when you call yourself a badass, it's like I can't, like you said with deserve. I said, well, I deserve this. It's more bestowed upon from somebody else, where it's more of a compliment in that sense. Otherwise, it's just bragging and
Yeah,
self
you can't
righteous.
walk into the palace and go, hey, I want to be knighted.
Yes,
You
I
can
deserve
knight,
it.
can you just knight me? Let's get it over with. That doesn't play well.
I'm not that guy.
No, no, you're not. And that's where I'm kind of taking this. And I'm sorry that was long winded, but, uh, you know, Machine Head did a lot of great tours and became, I feel, really had footprint in Europe
Mhm.
and probably a lot more in America. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that
Yeah,
that's always been the stronghold for that band, especially in Germany and
yeah,
the UK. And, yeah, and
yeah,
even Australia too. They huge down there and bigger. For whatever reason, America was always hard when I was in the band to kind of break.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
always more, oh, we're going over to, we're going overseas and it's going to get real. Not like
yeah.
it was bad in the States. I mean, there
No, it
were,
wasn't. The shows I've seen were, if not a large club, 500 plus capacity, it was, you know, rivaling a small theater, which,
Mhm.
that could be anywhere from five or six to 1,000 or more.
Right.
And it was
And after 30 years,
yeah,
that's pretty amazing feat.
yes,
Yeah.
and standing ovation to that on
Yeah.
on all accounts, and even the rough rides.
Yeah.
I feel like the material changed a couple of times, and
Couple few, yeah.
yeah, and the band looked different for a second, and there was a lot of interesting moments, but it's tumultuous in other ways as well. The climate of that kind of metal, you can put anything in a box that you like. I refuse boxes, right?
All right.
But the way that what's popular, the temperature of whatever that is changing all the time too. So,
Yeah.
I hear people, Rob Halford, Paul Stanley, everybody in between says adapt or die. It's
Yeah.
like the recording industry. It's everything.
Sure.
It's art. It's everything. So, do you feel like that is happening with Kerry King? Do you feel like that's happened with other bands that you've played with? Will keep them in the corral? Lamb of God and even Violence. Do you feel like maybe Violence is stuck to its own guns the entire opus?
I think that Machine Head definitely had adapted, and uh Rob is a student of music and of the barometer of what's happening in the industry. And
Yeah,
I think that there are decisions that are made based on that, as
yeah.
far as music in that sense. I think that, and there's no shame in that. I mean, like you said,
I
like
don't
Alpha
think so.
and Kiss, and I think that Slayer, for one, has pretty much been the AC/DC of thrash, and has pretty much maintained you know, their formula and what they do. And, you know, I could tell you that this new record is there is no trend hopping on
No,
this, right?
no.
Unless it's 1986 again.
Right. Well, right. Well,
It's
I feel like Slayer did, if I may,
Mhm.
not to dabble in, oh, we need a new sound. You know, I don't think that was happening at all. But there were a couple of moments, maybe with the slight lineup changes, and you know, like I feel like in '94, you know, there was a little bit of a different thing going on. I think that the Undisputed Attitude really had Slayer fans learning a lot about Slayer and what
right.
Slayer originally was about. And I'm
Mhm.
so glad that they did something like that, because it just kind of opened the whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
I was, you know, I knew that Jeff was super into punk, and I didn't know the history, or like they were that into it or whatever. And
Yeah.
at that point, everything after Seasons for me was I don't know. Those are the records. There are
Yeah.
songs that I like off the following records, and
Yeah.
but they kind of, I mean, they were my band. They were my band. I mean, Metallica and Exodus, and this scene was thriving here. But the minute that right, as soon as I saw Slayer for the first time, they were like became, holy shit, what is this? You know, I was born up
Right.
in a Christian home, and you know, you know, this like, you know, is something so far removed that um they were my band. So for them to, you know, after those first four records, and it's no slight against Paul or anything, but it just felt like after Divine, things kind of just shifted in a different direction, like you were saying.
I love Divine.
Yeah,
I fucking love Divine.
yeah,
It's an unreal record. I mean, there's moments on there that are fucking brutal and just take me into Slayer land.
yeah. There are.
But it is different. But it
It
is
is
different.
different, and maybe that there was just some sort of disconnect with me in that sense,
Yeah.
because there are songs that I like. There's song I like. Everybody hates on Diabolus, and you know, I really like that record. You know,
Well, that's kind of what I wasn't even going to say the name of the record, because it kind of does put it in a box. I hate to separate it because it's fucking Slayer, but at the same time, kind of felt different for a second.
yes, it was, and I was kind of feeling it. Everybody hated on Stain of Mine. I thought, you know, I thought it was great. I loved the Burning Red too. You know, for Machine when that came out, everybody was, you know, a lot of people were hating on it. And, oh, he's rapping. It's just like, I fucking dug it. I felt the conviction in what he was. You know, I loved Rage Against the Machine at that time, and it's just like I guess I didn't really, I didn't. After being, I was out of music for a couple years at that point, so I didn't know about new metal, or I didn't know about any of that. I just, you know, growing up, I loved disco. I loved
Oh
disco,
yeah, I
you
still
know,
do.
and my next door neighbor was my cousin, who was like the older guy, and he had the AC/DC records, the Foghat records, and the Nugent records, you know, and he's the one that introduced me to hard rock.
Are you talking about Troy?
No, no, no. This is my cousin Ron.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even meet Troy until 2007.
But how are you related to Troy Lucetta again?
Our moms are cousins.
Oh, far out.
Yeah, so he's my second cousin.
We just had Frank Hannon on the show.
Oh, right on.
He's great.
I'm not going to talk much about Troy.
No, we didn't talk about Troy, but Frank Hannon is pretty cool cat, man.
Yeah. Amazing player too.
Yeah, his father-in-law is Dickie Betts. What the fuck?
Crazy.
Is that crazy as shit?
That's insane.
Yeah, what are you doing? Oh, I'm hanging out with my father-in-law. What's his
guitars.
name? Dickie Betts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just playing some guitars. Yeah.
But when I was talking about like
yeah.
growing up, and like my cousin was like, "Oh, I don't listen to disco." You know, it's like, well, you know, I didn't know there was a stigma with like, oh, disco sucks and that whole thing. So the same thing with me, and fast forward to late 90s, where it's like I'm just listening. I'm doing my construction job. I've been out of music for a couple of years. I'm just playing basketball, snowboarding, fucking playing golf, being married, and you know, doing my thing. So I'm listening to Incubus on whatever's on the radio, you know.
Yeah.
So then this comes out, and I don't know that there's like a stigma with new metal and the it's rap, it's a whole thing. It's like I just know music that I connect with,
Yeah.
and that's how I related the two. So Stain of Mine was one of those moments where it's just like, okay, so it sounds like Biohazard, or like, what's the problem? It's a fucking great song, you know. It's
Yeah.
it's different, yeah, it's different, but I'm still digging it.